10 seconds.
Thousands of
Okay.
How long?
Already got it.
Okay.
And good Tuesday morning, 3 minutes past 10 o'clock. We're at 68 degrees. And this morning on KRIM's Community Spotlight, we have with us from the Payson Pro Rodeo Committee, John Landino. How you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, always a pleasure. And of course, you know, to me, when it comes to the spring rodeo, the Gary Hart Memorial Rodeo, I'm always thinking, you know, it's kind of like the beginning of the summer festival season, because I mean, this is really what kicks it off in earnest, in my opinion.
It really is. It's what kicks off rodeo, and especially in rim country and in northern Arizona.
Right.
Got a lot of rodeos to follow, but this is sort of gets the excitement and blood flowing.
And so do we have quite a few people already signed up to compete?
Well, you know, last year we had to cancel the Gary Hart Memorial. It was
Right.
in May, with all this pandemic was in full force, and so I think there's a lot of pent up demand, because I think we have over 250 contestants, cowboys, cowgirls coming in.
Wow.
Yeah, and that part of that is added to because we have a new added event that is approved by the PRC, Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. We're going to be doing Breakaway Roping, which is a very pleasant event to watch, because
Sure.
you got some nice looking young ladies that are roping steers.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun.
And there's, you know, breakaway roping. That's a fun one to watch. And like you say, it's certainly not hard to watch cowgirls.
No, and it's there's a great skill to it.
Sure.
You ever try to take and ride on a horse and throw a rope and get it over the horns of a steer that's running away from you? It's a skill.
Yeah, most definitely. It takes a lot of practice. And I'm surprised. I didn't realize, and I don't really know what to compare it to. I've been to the Gary Hart Memorial Rodeo many times, but 250? That sounds like an awful lot of people showing up.
We get between 190 and 200, 210, but there's an extra 40 or 50 contestants.
Wow.
That are
Anxious to get out and after it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think they are really looking forward to going to. The PRCA requires people who are wanting to qualify for different events to go to 50 rodeos a year. So we are early in the circuit. People need to get a jump on it, so we do get them here.
So to be a pro at this, I mean, you got to be having at least like a rodeo a week, pretty much then.
You know, they don't. Actually, it's some of them do 2 rodeos a week.
Wow, it's got to be tough on the bull riders.
Yeah, it's tough on the bull riders. Well, it's one of those things where this is a profession. You know, it's not the end of the season where we're just going to show our skills and see who's the best rider,
Right.
or roper or whatever. They do this for a living.
Yeah, makes sense. Now the Gary Hart Memorial Rodeo, this has been going on now, even though last year we didn't have it, and this year we're going. That'll still make it the world's oldest continuous spring rodeo in Payson.
That's right, in Payson.
But I mean, this has been going on, the spring rodeo, now for quite a few years.
It was 19. Well, actually, before the Gary Hart rodeo, if you were here, I wasn't here, but you can remember it was the Old Timers rodeo.
That's right.
And we ran out of old timers.
It's
I think.
funny how it works that way with old timers. Yeah.
Anyhow,
Funny for us, not for them.
in
Necessarily.
1987 was the first Gary Hart Memorial Rodeo.
Right.
For a long-time Payson resident, Gary Hart. He was a bull rider for 20 years. He roped the last 10 years of his rodeo career.
Wow.
He was proficient at both. Did real well. But a popular guy locally.
Yeah, and he definitely was. I'm still somewhat astounded. I mean, the idea of someone riding bulls for 20 years, I mean, that almost seems impossible without maybe tights and a cape or something.
I think that I got involved here about 20 years ago with the rodeo committee.
Right.
And I think that today's bulls, the last 5 or 10 years, today's bulls are very difficult to ride. I mean, I was watching a PBR event, and in 2016, that far back, of these guys that ride these bulls and ride them really well, there were no riders that made the 8 seconds in 2016.
And at the most recent high school rodeo that was held here, same thing. I mean, these bulls are putting the ank in rank.
Yes, but you know, and I think that the bull riders are really good bull riders, but when you put them against the kind of stock, the way they're bred today, these bulls are 1,800, 2,000 pounds of pure strength that is just going to.
It doesn't want you there.
Doesn't want you there. No, I think they just enjoy it. You know, and
Right.
people say, "Oh, you're making those animals work." They really have.
Hey, look how far that one flew.
Well,
Now, always a lot of fun. And now, when does the rodeo itself get underway?
the actual festivities start on the 20th. That's this Thursday.
Right.
And that is the Women's Cactus Series events, barrel racing and so forth.
Right.
And then on Friday and Saturday, there are 2 evening performances of the PRCA Rodeo, which now has 9 events,
Right.
including the Breakaway Roping.
Outstanding. So a little bit of something for everybody. And when it comes to, I know the August doings, it seems like in between acts, there's always a lot of fun getting kids out doing the mutton busting and stuff like that. They're going to do that at the spring rodeo also?
There's mutton busting on Thursday night. So, by the way, Thursday night, you just bring a can or a couple cans of food for the food bank. It's a lot of fun.
I bring my can with me wherever I go.
I understand. Just take it along. It travels wherever you go.
But a bump.
Shing.
Yeah.
But that's really terrific to go see. You'll probably not make it through the end because it starts at 6. The gates open about 4:30, and it goes till forever. I mean, they just have contestant after contestant,
Right.
and it's great for the contestants. But you'll have a great time because it's terrific mutton busting and junior steer riding.
Right.
So mutton busting, I think it's 4 to 8, unless you're 100 pounds or something.
Yeah.
And then for the junior steer riding, it's I think it's 10 to like 13. 10, 14, something like that.
Wow.
And again, it depends on weight. I mean,
I know, and there was, steer riding too, right?
yes, it's junior steer riding.
Yeah, junior steer riding.
That's what I was saying. Youth steer riding.
My grandson, who is, oh God, I just dug myself in a hole. I believe he's 10 years old. He did that last year and was already just talking the other day when I saw him about he's looking forward to getting back up there and doing that again.
And I think that's pretty full right now. I think if you haven't signed up over at Chapman, it's filled up. There was one opening for a steer rider on Thursday night, I think, that was left, that I last saw, but I don't know if that's filled or not. But yeah, steer riding is fun, and we do the button busting and the steer riding in every performance. So in Friday and Saturday night, you'll see that. It's a very popular thing. Everybody likes to watch that.
Right.
I mean, between the bulls and the mutton busting, and that's the couple of big things they love.
And with the steer riding, when you look at just the body mass, it's not a whole lot different, for the kid than, maybe for you or I to hop on the back of a bull, except for I don't think you're going to see that happening anytime soon. At least
not here.
I always pass out before I drink that much. But anyway, the bottom line is, I mean, they give a heck of a ride for these kids.
Oh, they do.
And of course, they keep them safe, put a helmet on them, and all.
Oh, yeah, they've got a vest on and a helmet and stuff. Right. And the steers are not like the bulls. They just want to go back and get some more food.
Right.
So they buck, and then run back to the pens there and get some food.
Right. They haven't learned how to be ranked.
They don't really care about the crews on them. They just want to get rid of them and go.
Now, do we have, as far as the spring rodeo, I know the August rodeo tends to bring in some big names in rodeo from time to time. How are we looking for the spring? I mean, any...
We're a little early on that because the sign-up finalized this morning.
You don't have it all memorized yet?
I don't.
Come on, Sean.
I didn't get it. I don't get it until tomorrow morning.
Yeah. But I mean, still, chances of some big names possibly
I'm sure
coming
there
through
will
town?
be, especially at this rodeo, because again, it's early in the season, and the guys it's like a warm-up, they can come and do things, and they're not really committed to a lot of other things that they have to do, so we do get them in here.
Now, what time do the evening performances start, Friday and Saturday?
Both Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m., and of course, Friday night is the Tough Enough to Wear Pink.
Ah, there you go.
Tough Enough to Wear Pink. So for all you fans out there, wear something pink, a scarf or a shirt or your jeans, I don't know.
Pink underwear.
Pink underwear, whatever. And that is to show an honor for the breast cancer groups.
Perfect.
And what we do as a rodeo committee is we do more than this, but it's set up for us to pay $1 for each patron that wears pink.
Nice.
And donate that. And then $3 for each cowboy or cowgirl that has pink on.
Wow.
And most of them.
So you guys, you got to, look at the big picture here. You can make a big difference in the fight against breast
come
cancer.
out and support those efforts. And that's really helped our crowds on a Friday night,
Mhm.
because there were a lot of people who weren't necessarily rodeo fans, said, oh, I'll go out and support the breast cancer groups, and they come out and say, wow, that was fun, I'll do that again.
Right.
You know.
You know, it takes, it takes a village. It takes an awful lot of people to put together one of these rodeos, and folks that, perhaps haven't been involved in it don't realize that, first of all, with the rodeo committee, you've got, 10 gazillion members or something like that?
We have about 120 members.
And these are all local rim country folks for the most part.
All volunteers, and for the most part, we probably have about 20 members that are from out of town, that
Right.
just come up to work the rodeos,
Love it.
that are members.
Mhm.
And then we use another, I would say 70 to 80 volunteers. So a couple hundred people to go and over the 2 nights to put and help put that rodeo on.
Right, a lot of different, when it comes to just the ingress and egress, ticket takers and stuff like that. And I'm assuming, because it seems like it becomes somewhat synonymous with rodeo, there'll be a beer tent or something like that.
There will be. We have the Cowboy Corral where the contestants and the sponsors and some folks are able to go into. We have the beer tents that are set up. We have merchandise, souvenirs
Cool.
and we have a thing called Re-Ride, which is again meant to build some revenue, and it's gently used clothing that is set up in an area where you can find maybe your next pair of boots or a great looking shirt or a hat.
What a great idea.
Yeah, and it's something that people donate that to us. We make sure they're clean and look good, and then sell that, and those proceeds go right into helping our scholarship funds and things.
And let's talk about the scholarship funds and things. I mean, you've in the past, you've been able to make a big difference with some of these kids.
Well, people know, most people know that we're a 501c3
Right.
Nonprofit, and we have 2 missions, and I think that's how we impact Payson. The first is that we are trying to keep the Western heritage and lifestyle alive, because Payson was really founded, started with mining, but it was really founded on cattle and ranching and the Western lifestyle. And that has been diluted as people have moved in from other areas, and you don't have that same Western feeling. People walking around town with their guns on their hip and hats and boots. And so we want to keep that alive. And we do that through producing the rodeos, and that reminds everybody. But the other thing that happens is that through producing the rodeos, we raise funds for our charitable efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about 70% of our funds go to scholarships for the high school, graduating high school people in rim country. It's not in the Payson area in general. So if you're in a charter school or homeschooled or in a different school other than the Payson Unified School District, you qualify for applying for a scholarship. And they're needs-based scholarships, not just for academic performance. I mean, you can't have flunked everything and have a need and
Right.
got a scholarship, but
Got to be realistic.
you got to be realistic. So it's really need-based, and it's not just academics. It's
Right.
for vocational scholarships. If you want to be a firefighter, you want to be a plumber, you want to be a cosmetologist. Those kinds of things qualify. And we've had people. In fact, I'll give you an example. We had one young lady who got her scholarship, went to cosmetology school, and she started working for somebody. She's in Texas now, but she started working for somebody, and within a year or so, she opened her own business, and now she has people working for her.
Sweet.
Great scholarship.
Perfect. And it's neat too, because I think when it comes to scholarship awards, things that to be able to open up doors of opportunity for people that might not necessarily want to to go on to get a degree in nuclear physics or something like that. They're more maybe they just want to be a really good mechanic or this or that or whatever.
Absolutely.
You still open up the doors for them as well.
Absolutely, and that is the key issue. I'd say about maybe a third of the scholarships are for vocational needs that people apply for, and we need people to actually be productive and be able to do well. In the city of Philadelphia, let's just pick a town. If you're a bus driver, you'll make as much money as some of the doctors.
Right.
So you don't have to go and be go to medical school to make you $100,000, and
Right.
you can make $100,000 doing some of these things.
Sure.
And so it's people get a misconception that if you're working, you're just a slum.
No, that was definitely not the case at all.
We need everybody.
Yeah, and after this last year of COVID, a lot of doctors out there saying, should have been a plumber. Anyway, the bottom line is the rodeo gets underway Thursday night. And now what time does the barrel racing and all that start Thursday?
Well, that starts at 6.
At 6.
Yeah, and you can go to for tickets, by the way, for the rodeo, you can go to our website, which is PaysonProRodeo.com, PaysonProRodeo.com. And when you get there, you'll be able to get tickets. You may also see some things. You can take a look at who the board of directors is. You can take a look at some services and resources in town. Some of our sponsors have their logos and connections to their website. We appreciate you doing business with them because we couldn't put this rodeo on without them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're able to get those tickets. Now, tickets for adults, that's 12 years old to 64, are 16. Tickets for seniors, 65 and over, are 14. And then children 7 to 11, 8 to 11 are 10. And then 7 years older and younger are free.
Makes sense.
And if you don't buy them, you can buy them also at Bob's Western Wear if you don't have a computer. Maybe.
I've heard that there's someone out there, yes, that still doesn't. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people who don't like to use the computer.
Sure.
But in any case, so you can go to Bob's Western Wear and get them. And then what happens is if you don't get them on a pre-sale,
Mm-hmm.
at the gate, all the adults and all the seniors are $20.
So it pays to get your tickets ahead of time.
Get your tickets ahead of time.
Just go to PaysonProRodeo.com.
PaysonProRodeo.com or Bob's Western Wear. And part of that is that it's difficult for us to handle nickels and dimes as you enter, but also most of the people who buy tickets that are at the gate are from out of town, and so they just pay the $20.
Well, and I know my opinion from last year anyways, makes perfect sense to get your tickets over there at Bob's Western Wear because you're going to have to pick up some of that so you blend in well
Absolutely.
with all
Get
the
your
rodeo
pink
crowd.
stuff. He's got some pink stuff.
He's got some pink stuff there too? Cool.
And red, white, and blue. Saturday night, I didn't mention, is the Patriot Night.
Oh,
And we're honoring our fallen, wounded, and returning vets.
gotta love that.
Yeah, and so red, white, or blue. Let's do that. And we probably donate about 25 plus thousand to the scholarships, and then breast cancer support groups, veteran groups, to sports activities at school. And then there's some other needy things that come up that we take care of.
Ah, that's a beautiful thing. And now, as the Payson Pro Rodeo Committee, are they still looking to get more volunteers to help with some of this stuff?
Yeah, it's pretty far down the road for this rodeo, but I think that if you're still willing, you can try to call. Oh, I don't have her number. I'll give you another number. It's 928 area code.
Mm-hmm.
It's 978-0694, and you can get directed if you really would like to volunteer for something. I'm sure there's a few things open that
You bet.
need to.
If nothing else, the August Rodeo is right around the corner.
And that's right, the August Rodeo.
It'll be here before we know it.
We have our meetings once a month at the usually on the second Tuesday of the month at the Quality Inn in their meeting room there. They're kind enough to let us use that meeting room. So if you want to find out a little bit more about the committee, look at PaysonProRodeo.com. You can come and visit us at one of the meetings. No obligation. We'll be glad to see what's going on. A lot of nice people.
And then I understand this is the first year that you're actually going to be competing in the bull riding?
I'm bull throwing. It's not.
Oh, bull throwing.
Yeah, the bull riding.
Okay, I resemble that comment. So it sounds like it's going to be a full slate of entertainment, though, and it's still just a big part of what put Payson on the map. Rodeo has been a big part of what's gone on here for a lot of years, and I know there's a lot of folks. Now that I'm living down in Tonto Basin, Brownsville down there, kind of cool to see the different competitions that they have. And there's a lot of local ranch folks that, this is their way of life. And it's neat to see that stuff still alive.
I think there's room to do a ranch rodeo here.
I think
call
that'd
a
be
ranch rodeo, which is not the PRCA.
I've been to a couple of ranch rodeos. That was a different.
That's a ranch rodeo.
Okay. All right.
PRCA, these people do this for a living, and they're not. No longer is it a bunch of ranch hands that are showing their skills. There may be a couple, but most of them are in it because they love the sport. It's a sport, and they do it just like a football does. The player does. They do all the things they have to do to train and be good, and then they work hard at it. So you don't. If you have a little football game that's a bunch of people to get together, that's one thing. But when you professionals get together, you see a different level of competition.
Sure.
But the ranch rodeo is a lot of fun because people know them. And I've got, if we had a roping contest, we could get 100 ropers to come down here and rope.
Sure. And most of them are perfectly happy to do it just for bragging rights.
Oh yeah, most of the
Don't give
time.
them a belt
Or a few
buckle or
dollars,
something.
yeah. Nothing. No big money.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, and we were talking before the show today, and I found it to be interesting. When you look back at Payson's long history of rodeo, and when it used to be more of just, you know, the end of the season, the local ranch folks, you know, coming together and like you say, just, you know, having kind of friendly competition, maybe sometimes a little unfriendly, but for the most part friendly. There was a lot of other types of competitions, and you mentioned one this morning I had not heard of before, but silver dollar throwing.
Yeah, what would happen is, in fact, we've had, I mean, people who know a little bit about the history here. Tom Mix, you know that name?
Oh yeah. Very well.
Tom came to our August rodeos, and the boys in between events, and if they're killing time, they aside from libations, they would draw a line and they would pitch silver dollars to see who could get closest to the line, and do. And this was a big gambling event. We talked before the show about how you would extend this to be like it was a week-long or a 4-day long,
right.
5-day long event. And it's because of professionalism that takes place on the rodeo side of it, the cowboys can't stay around that long. But it also takes coordination by a lot of other organizations to be able to do the things that you would do to make that extend, whether it's pie eating contests, chili cook-offs, and horse racing. You know, they had horse racing was probably the biggest event at the first rodeos was the horse racing, because people would have their fastest horses come in and race against them.
And as in contrast to today's horse racing, the thing that I thought was kind of interesting, and I liken it to drag racing, it was just a straight shot.
How fast can you go?
Yeah, and
quarter horse. See, quarter horses are fast in the first quarter mile.
Right.
So they take that, whatever the distance is that they want it, and that's what they sprint.
Mhm.
So
and
there's no strategy, just go.
no, I think it would be very fun to try and pull something like that together. And even if you did the ranch rodeo in conjunction with one of the other rodeos, like the first part of the week be the ranch rodeo, and then the pros come in the second half.
That would be fabulous. Now the problem that you have is that you would have all of the people on the rodeo committee about 6 inches shorter if they had to work both the ranch rodeo and then work the.
Yeah, they're getting too tall anyway.
Yeah. But you know, there's a big impact to town outside of the things that we do, from supporting scholarships and donations and keeping the Western heritage alive. The two rodeos combined bring somewhere around $3.5 million of sales revenue to town.
That's huge.
And that doesn't include, that's only for like food, lodging, and fuel. That doesn't include purchases of gifts or purchases of the clothing that they might go to Bob's or someplace else to get.
Right.
So it does impact the town from a lot of people coming in, and it gives a good impression of the town. We have a lot of people who have some have moved here because, wow, Payson is just a great place, and it is a great place.
It definitely is.
Yes.
And that makes sense. I mean, well, in the 40 years that I've been here, I've seen Payson change a lot. Went from, when I first got here, about 5,000 people, and now we're up over 16,000. And in the first couple of years here, and being born and raised in Phoenix, I wasn't really sure exactly, you know, what I'd gotten myself into, but I'm highly addicted to it. I can't see myself ever leaving. The people, the way of life. This is an extra special place, and keeping rodeo alive here is profoundly important to all of us.
Well, people always ask me, I've lived corporately, I've moved a lot, and I've lived a lot of different places. This is the longest I've ever lived anywhere, even as a kid, 20 years. But they say, well, what was your favorite place? You know, between Washington, D.C. and Denver and Philadelphia and Baltimore.
Wow, there's just some contrast there.
Miami and West Palm Beach and San Francisco.
And you ended up in Payson.
I ended up in Payson. I took a wrong turn coming back.
Well, it sounds like you've got good taste, actually.
Yeah. But they say, what was your favorite place? And I always say, I had good experiences almost everywhere, but what makes the place are people and what you're willing to do to take an opportunity of whatever's available and do something. there. And the people here are just great.
Absolutely. Now we're about out of time, but we want to remind people, if you want to hit the rodeo this weekend, again, it starts Thursday night with the ladies barrel racing and other events, and then Friday and Saturday nights at 7 p.m. for the regular Gary Hart Memorial Rodeo with all of the different rodeo events. You can save yourself some bucks on tickets if you just go online today to PaysonProRodeo.com or stop by Bob's Western Wear, and while you're picking up some Western duds to be able to go out in flashy fashion this weekend, you can also get a discount on some of the rodeo tickets. Otherwise, $20 at the door. They don't care if you're young, old, or in between.
Unless you're a kid under 11. Hey, one other thing I want to tell you, that gates open at 5, and there's a lot of great vendors out there. So don't come to the rodeo well fed. You can get a libation and something to eat. You can browse around before the rodeo starts with a lot of different other kinds of vendors that are out there.
All kinds of good food.
Good food.
French fried Shetland ponies.
They've got something near that, but not quite.
Okay,
the other thing too is if you go to Bob's, if you buy a certain amount of goods, you can get a free rodeo ticket.
Sweet.
Hey, voucher for a free ticket.
Gotta love that. All right, so head on over to Bob's if you feel so inclined, or go online to PaysonProRodeo.com. And John Landino, as always, a pleasure to talk with you. It's like deja vu all over again when we talk about rodeo.
It is. Thank you, Randy. I really enjoy it.
My pleasure. And we got to get you back to more of your favorite music. Have some tunes coming up from, well, let's see, Boston, Counting Crows, Third Eye Blind, KC and the Sunshine Band, and a whole bunch more. But right now, time for a look at Rim Country weather.
Hooey.
Here is the key.
Hooey.